Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another discussion. Well, this will be my second to last discussion because next week will be the final discussion. So, this discussion will be about illegal D. I have to say D. I will put on the screen why I'm saying D because for reasons that I don't want this to be demonetized or if YouTube even notice this. Okay. So, I understand this will be a bad subject, but this bad subject will actually be important to saying how and why to how to let me reassure this again to what is it? What is addiction? What happens to the brain when people do it? And how do people become addicted and some don't? Oh, and by the way, how can addiction be prevented or cured? Alright, on to the subject. Many people don't understand why or how other people become addicted to D. When they they may mistakenly think that those who use drugs lack moral principles or willpower, and that they could stop their drug use. Oops, I said the word. Nope, it's D. 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 Okay. D use simply by choosing to. So they legit would choose if they want to do it or not. It's their decision. It's always been their decision. So what is D addiction? Addiction is a chronic disease characterized by seeking D and use that is compulsive or difficult to control despite harmful consequences. This decision of taking D is voluntary for most people. Like I said before, it's legit what people choose to do. It's not what they're forced to do. Sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. But most of the time it is not. It's what people decide to do with their lives. Alright, continuing. With this repeated D use, addicted use, this can lead to many changes in the brain and challenge the addicted person's self-control and interfere with their ability to resist the intense urges to taking D. This addiction is also considered as a relapse disease, which is kind of horrible, saying that relapse disease is very bad and how it becomes this addiction. Alright, on to the next. What happens to the brain when in the use of D, the D addiction? By the way, I'm using the letter D for reasons that I'm afraid. If I would say it, I would be scared. But I'm not really showing it. I'm really just giving out basic information that I found in this article. So I hope you enjoy this discussion. Educational discussion. Alright. In this section of what happens to the brain when the use of D, most D affects the brain by the reward circuit, causing euphoria as well as flooding it with chemical messenger dopamine. A properly functioning reward system motivates a person to repeat behaviors needed to thrive, such as eating and spending time with loved ones. So the brain does when you're in the affections of that. Well, how should I say this? Okay, so when you're part of that addiction, people sort of get with their brain. People sort of don't know what happened, so they could lose their memory. They could actually people actually sometimes get heated. That's why they take off their clothes, and sometimes they would act aggressively in front of others while they're in this no, in this addiction. So they would act very different from their original personality, which is very horrible in my perspective because they could actually hurt the person that they're near or dearly love. So as a person continues to use D, the brain adapts by reducing the ability cells, and the reward circuit is respond to it. Okay. Well, let's go on to the other section. Why do some people become addicted to D while others don't? It's a combination of factors reduced to risk for addiction. So it's the risk. If people drink more, and they're addicted. If they don't drink very much, they don't get addicted. Or it's the other way around. It could be in many ways. It's how people actually feel about what they should do. If they should do it or should they not do it. So it's self-controlling in a way, but people are not weak when they're in self-control of that stuff. It's not a sign of weakness. It's just how they portray their life. Alright. The more risk factors a person has, the greater chance of taking D can lead to addiction. For example, in biology, environment, and develop. So, in biology, the genes of people we're born with account about half a person for a risk of addiction. So, gender, ethnicity, I might put that word on the screen again, and the persistence of other mental disorders may also influence the risk of D and addiction. D use and addiction. I should say that correctly. Okay, on to the environment. A person's environment also includes many different influences, from friends, family, to economy, status, and general quality life. Alright, so these factors would be such as peer pressure, physical and sexual abuse, early exposure to D, stress, and parental guidance can greatly affect a person's likelihood of potential D use and addiction. It's how people are also affected in their lives. And that's how they also choose to take this. So because sometimes people just think they're not worthy enough as well, which is sad. Alright, on to development. Genetic environment factors interact with critical developmental stages in a person's life to affect addiction risk. So, well, taking D can affect almost everyone in almost every age. It can lead in any age actually. So the beginnings. So when you're using D in the beginning, you'll likely use it in the future. If you're using it at a very young age and you just become like you're wanting more, the addiction will grow and grow until you actually understand yourself that you may need help. And that might take forever to understand if you need it or not. Alright. Can de-addiction be cured or prevented? Yes and no. This is my opinion, by the way. Yes and no. For reasons that the damage is already done and you will be needing treatment, but the treatment might take you a while because you won't be taking the prescription that you will be needing. Instead, you will just take a different kind of, you'll be taking different ways of doing it. But the treatment you'll also be needing is mental and social. It's not just medical, it's mental and social. It's because how you portray your life socially is how you also portray your life mentally. So that will also be required for your treatment. But in D, I'm legit putting an emphasis on D. use and addiction, they are preventable. They are preventable in many ways. Because there is a result from a NID funded research has shown that prevention programs involving families, schools, communities, and the media affect preventing or reducing D-use and addiction. So this funded research has helped or has been involving many communities and media to the effects of preventing and reducing D-use and addiction. So they're trying to help lower the percentage of using that, of inducing D, and addiction. So that would be a helpful research. And I'll say something else. All through personal events and cultural factors affect drug use trends. When when young people view I almost said the word sorry. D use is very harmful. They tend to decrease their D taking. So when they're very young, so say if they're a teenager and they're using I almost said the word. Why do I keep saying the word? Because using D, they could stop themselves or they could keep going. It's how they choose, but they also might need help from an adult or someone. Or if they're in their early stages of becoming an adult, they also will need that help. But make sure they don't take it the wrong way either. It's how they portray themselves as well. So there's many points to remember, but just know that if you even take it, your body is already going through enough damage. But you also have to make sure you keep your body healthy if you want to be able to live a bit longer than you're supposed to. Because giving your body a nice, healthy way of life, it's great, but you also have to experience stuff as well. But don't experience every little thing, because there's also a lot of bad things that you shouldn't experience in the world. But that's how life is. So I'm just glad that they are saying that these addictions and D-use are preventable for everything, and there's research for it, so that's pretty neat. And it is treatable. And also the addiction is also treatable and can be successfully managed. So, in my opinion in all of this, my real opinion, it's all sad actually. Many people suffer with their choices that they made, and like I said before, the damage is already done, and it's time to recover if they choose to. So, I hope you enjoyed this discussion. Some of the questions I might not be answered for this assignment. By the way, this is an assignment that I'm working for in my class. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this speed draw. This is kind of new for me because I never did this before. I never ever showed my sketchbook. Just be very clear, this is a new sketchbook I just got, and I haven't finished my old one. So, this will be new and experience. Okay, so I hope you enjoy this. I hope you have a good day or night or whatever time zone you have. And I hope you enjoyed this speed draw and this discussion. And I hope you actually get a chance to have this information in your head. And also, you can take it, but you're being warned that you're also hurting your body. But do not be afraid. Just be careful. It's not a sign of weakness as well. Alright. I hope you have a good time. Or should I say, yeah, good time. And bye.